Dear scholars, after having the foundation on the learning school, now we are moving for a very important part of the learning school of strategic management and learning school of strategy. I hope that you remember what we learnt in the initial lessons and initial lectures of this particular course. And you remember that we talked about the 5 P's of strategy. You also remember about our talking on the deliberate, realized, unrealized and emergent strategy. If you remember that the intended or deliberate strategy represent the strategy formulation, whereas the emergent strategy represent the learning part of the strategy when you start, you work in the organizations, you don't have that thing in your mind, but while working it emerges and it is achieved. So it becomes the realized strategy as emergent strategy. Henry Mintzberg, who is actually the main person behind this learning school, he has made significant contribution in the literature of strategy, in the sense that he has enlightened the theorists and practitioners that actually there are 2 extremes of strategy, and these 2 extremes are actually present on the continuum, and these 2 extremes are deliberate strategy on the one end and emergent strategy on the other end. He argued that the real world strategies are neither fully deliberate nor fully emergent. Rather, these are either near to the deliberate strategy or near to the emergent strategy, or these are the good combination of deliberate and emergent strategies. Actually, this being not on the ideal points, again supports the argument that a strategy development is a learning process. In this particular 2 videos, we'll be talking about the different types of real world strategies which actually fall in between the deliberate and emergent strategy continuum. Deliberate and emergent strategies may be conceived as 2 ends of a continuum along which real world strategies fall. Diagram on the screen clearly shows the continuum with the 2 extreme points. On the left you can see deliberate strategy, on the right you can see emergent. In between, the dots represent the real world strategies. Some of them are near to deliberate end, another are near the emergent end, and some are the good mix between, or the good mix of emergent and deliberate strategy. Let us now see different kinds of the real world strategies falling on the continuum in between deliberate and emergent strategies. These are 8 in number: planned, entrepreneurial, ideological, umbrella, process, unconnected, consensus and imposed strategies. These are the real world 8 strategies as found by the Henry Mintzberg. Let us now take them one by one for our understanding. And this is what another graphical representation. This is actually that how they fall on a 2 axis of control and being deliberate. The first strategy is planned strategy. The planned strategy is the strategies originate in formal plans. Precise intentions exist, formulated and articulated by central leadership, backed up by formal controls to ensure surprise-free implementation in benign, controllable or predictable environment. Strategies most deliberate. The first kind is the planned strategy, and we know that what is the planned strategy, which is the intended strategy, where first strategy is made by the top management, then arrangement is made to put them to practice, and there is less possibility of the strategy or any surprise. But remember that the environment is supposed to be controllable, benign mean kind, and predictable. So these are the planned strategies, and these are generally found in the organizations. You find those strategies in the large-scale organizations. And this is the graphical representation of it, that you see that there is an arrow. What is planned, it is now being implemented. But always remember that these planned strategies are actually near to the deliberation, or these are the deliberate strategy in essence. The second are entrepreneurial strategy. You know that we have already talked about Entrepreneurial School of Strategic Management. That school was about an entrepreneur having a vision, having an idea, and his vision and idea was actually the strategy. Let's see that what is entrepreneurial strategy. The strategies originate in the central vision. There is also a central vision like the planned school. But what is the difference? Intentions exist at personal vision of single leader. Here there is not a leadership group. There is a single leader whose vision is taken as strategy and so are adaptable to new opportunities. Organization under personal control of leader and located in protected niche in environment. Strategies broadly deliberate but can emerge in detail and even orientation. I mean, actually these strategies, entrepreneurial strategies, are deliberate because these are the vision of a single person. But there is a possibility that the vision can change. This is something represented by this diagram. You see that there is vision 1 and there is vision 2. Vision 1 was the vision actually which was in the mind of the entrepreneur when actually the organization started its business. It was in the mind of the entrepreneur. But as he proceeded further on the route, he learned, and through his learning, he changed, rather he evolved his vision from vision 1 to vision 2. And you can clearly see that actually the strategy was deliberate, but the emergent part was also there. The third is ideological strategy. You see that these strategies are rare in the world. Actually, in the business world, they are even rare because normally the business organizations are not ideological organizations. But there are ideological organizations. Those are those actually who are the result of an ideology. If you all know that the country Pakistan is an ideological country. First there was an ideology, and from the ideology a strategy stemmed, and the result of the strategy a country came into the existence. And then for running that country, the strategy guided different paths and different courses of action. Now we actually try to understand what is ideological strategy. Strategies originate in shared beliefs. Intentions exist at collective vision of all actors, in inspirational form and relatively immutable, controlled normatively through indoctrination and or socialization. Organization often proactive, vis environment, strategies rather deliberate. You see that the thing to understand is this: there is an ideology. Whatever is that ideology, it can be economic ideology, religious, social, and whatever is. This ideology has created an organization, and this ideology also guides the different strategies the organization can take to go further. And it is essentially a deliberate example of a deliberate strategy, but also on the path emergence is also possible. Diagrammatically, you see that there is ideology as the vision, as the central deliberation, intention, and these arrows show that all strategies are stemming from the ideology. Actually, this ideology is the limit of the strategic choice. There is no possibility to have a strategy which goes beyond this particular ideology. I just take one example. You see that in the Constitution of Pakistan, there is one very important part. This is known as objective resolution, which is actually the deliberation of the ideology of Pakistan. In Pakistan, at state level or at other levels as well, no strategy can be formulated which is beyond the objective resolution, which is the part of the Constitution of Pakistan. This is the one example of ideological strategy. Fourth one is the umbrella strategy. And you know that, all know that umbrella strategy, which provides an umbrella cover to many strategies. Strategies originate in constraints, leadership in partial control of organizational actions, defines strategic boundaries or targets within which other actors respond to own experiences or preferences. These are such strategies in which the central organization does not have a full control of the things. This is the case in which the central unit or the management of the organization, it gives certain limits, it gives certain objectives, and it outlines certain boundaries within which the smaller units and other units of the organization are allowed to take their strategy or course of action. When actually at center the strategy is deliberate, but at the unit level strategy is emergent. For example, at center level, organization sends this message to all the units that you can develop any product as long as the product falls in the premium category. It means that they have specified a boundary as premium category. Now their different product units can develop the products of their choice, but only in the premium category. Another very useful example of the umbrella strategy can be the case of construction industry, the case of architectural profession and industry. Say in the housing societies, normally nowadays the planned housing societies, we see that the housing society offers a broader guideline for the construction of buildings or for the houses to the people. And within those broad construction guidelines, the different designs of the houses may emerge and may be adopted. So in this particular example, the housing society has given the umbrella guidelines, and within which the owners of different houses can design their houses, and these designs can be different from the other houses, but principally within the limits given by the organization. And this is the good pictorial form of the umbrella strategy, the two broad limits, and within them there are different strategies. Umbrella strategy is the blend of deliberate and emergent strategies. So far we have understood that there are different forms of the strategies in the real world which fall between deliberate and emergent. So far it is fine. Thank you very much.